Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome back to the Junius Mulpy channel. Glad you could make it here today. Not a whole lot of pertinent, cutting edge news today, groundbreaking, world changing events, but there is some interesting information to discuss. We got this op ed here. The writer's name is Ledbetter, and he writes for the LA Times. And he poses the question, how much gold do Americans own? That's an interesting question to pose, and I want you to pay close attention if you can, and you can pay attention long enough as we go through this, looking for some of these subliminal suggestions and the subliminally suggested associations of when we get to the part who owns gold and who they're associated with, what political ties they might have. And why are they asking this question anyway? How much gold do Americans own? I mean, are they asking how much aluminum we own, or how much aluminum we use on a daily basis, how much copper we own, how much copper is in my home in the wiring? No, they want to know how much gold we own. There's a little slideshow at the top of the article, and as I went through it, this one jumped out at me because it's one of the percentages and statistics that I often quote here and have done so for quite some time on this channel, and that's less than 1% of Americans hold any gold that's not in the form of jewelry. That's the number that I've always been aware of, is that less than 1% of Americans in the population hold any form of gold, again, that is not in the form of jewelry. So that's bullion, coins, bars, things like that. It says here, newsletters and consultants that advise people to buy precious metals estimate that between 1% and 3% of the American population owns precious metals. So let's buckle up and get bored and read through this article by James Ledbetter. Did you know that 23% of U.S. households have more than one refrigerator? Or that American workers who earn between $75,000 and $99,999 contribute an average of 7.7% of their incomes to retirement accounts? Americans live in what is most certainly the most quantified society in the history of human existence. We are measured and surveyed around the clock, particularly regarding the facts of our economic lives, always of interest to companies trying to find a better way to sell us things. Yet there is at least one significant seeming economic question with no reliable answer. How many Americans own gold? Certainly, a notable portion of the country believes that gold makes a good investment. Gallup annually surveys American adults on their perceptions about investments. In 2011, when gold prices were relatively high, gold was deemed the best long-term investment by 34% of respondents. Real estate was the next at 19%. As gold prices subsided, the percentage naming gold as the best long-term investment fell. Nonetheless, in 2017's survey, gold still ranks as the third best perceived long-term investment, behind real estate, stocks, and mutual funds. Curiously, the higher an American's household income, the less likely he or she is to pick gold as the best long-term investment, and the more likely to choose real estate or stocks and mutual funds. Gold, it seems, is the preferred investment vehicle for those who can't afford it. Remember what I told you in the beginning before we read through this. We do know that the government sells a lot of gold. In 2015, the U.S. Mint sold about $1.2 billion worth of American Eagle and American Buffalo gold coins. That represents a fresh supply every year of hundreds of thousands of coins. And some Americans also purchase gold bullion and coins from other countries. Market vagaries, however, make it difficult to extrapolate from that figure how many Americans are buying. Some individuals may purchase large quantities of coins, and there is no easy way to track secondary coin markets or the number of non-Americans buying gold in the United States. Well, you know what business is in charge of finding that type of information out, right? You guys are aware of the name of the business it is, whose sole responsibility it is to gather this information. It's called the Nunya Company, and they are a subsidiary of Nunya Business. It's Nunya Business. Moving on, the World Gold Council, which gathers and disseminates mountains of statistics about gold, says it can provide no estimate for the number of Americans who own gold as an investment. Metals Focus, a London-based precious metals consultant, said it has no figures that it can release. When I passed along an estimate that fewer than 10% of American adults own gold as an investment, a spokesman wouldn't confirm, but hinted that that was accurate. A detailed 2010 poll designed to elicit the views of Americans sympathetic to the Tea Party movement found that 5% of those who viewed the movement favorably said that they had purchased gold coins or bars in the preceding 12 months. The poll did not report a result for the same question from the general population. Many of the newsletters and consultants that advise people to buy precious metals estimate that between 1% and 3% of the American population owns precious metals. These guesses suggest that somewhere between 2.5 million and 25 million Americans own gold as an investment, a range so wide it makes any concrete analysis impossible. Remember, there's over 300 plus million Americans. The truth is that we have probably never known how many Americans own gold. For most of America's history, that question has either been close to irrelevant. Through the 19th century, the vast majority of Americans could not afford to invest in any assets beyond those that kept them alive, or non sequitur. From 1933 to 1975, it was not legal for Americans to own gold as an investment. When the Hoover administration began cracking down on gold hoarders in 1932, officials estimated that as much as $1.4 billion worth of gold was in private hands. If accurate, that impressive figure represented twice the amount of reserves in the Bank of England. 2 years later, after the government had officially bought up all privately held gold, the Treasury estimated that there was still some $287 million worth of gold coins in private hands. Because that number couldn't be reconciled with the fact that gold was now illegal to own, the government simply subtracted that figure from all its books going back to 1913. Various bankers and economists concluded that this gold was smuggled out of the country or permanently hoarded, but no one will ever know for sure how much of it was ever actually there. Amazing how a writer from the LA Times can just quickly brush over the fact that the government forcibly purchased such a large quantity of gold from the population with the threat of penalty if they did not comply with the totalitarian statist measures of handing over your gold for fiat. While we may think that we live in a more accountable era, our lack of knowledge about gold ownership suggests otherwise. Back when all major currencies were tied to gold, there were economic and arguably national security reasons to be vague on how much metal resided where. Yet, even after half a century of a floating currency in this country, a legacy of secrecy still surrounds the metal. One price of this information void is conspiratorial thinking. Some of the conservative and libertarian figures who demand that the Federal Reserve be audited, for example, grumble that there may be a lot less gold, maybe none, in Fort Knox than official numbers allow. Perhaps that lacuna does only minimal damage to the body politic, but it's hard to think of any good purpose that it is served by perpetuating our ignorance about gold. Well, did you notice some of the connections there? How he painted the picture that perhaps, these people have these crazy theories that there might not be any gold, and well, maybe we need to know how much gold everybody has. It's just the whole topic here and the viewpoint from which he's coming. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it a little too far and reading into it, but he does work for the LA Times. All right. I would just say it's none of their business, the state's business, and I wonder what type of environment is generating this article and this question, because I'm sure there are people in politics that would like to know exactly how much gold the population in the United States holds because of what might be happening in the future. If there's economic trouble, they may look to the gold held by the citizenry as a way to escape the more severe economic downturn in a country, or perhaps use the citizens' gold to help or perhaps stave off a default. Join me now as we jump over and take a look at the cryptocurrency market capitalizations. This is a website that tracks all the various cryptocurrencies. And as you can see, I took a look today after getting some information from a friend, and a lot of the cryptos were down today. There's a couple that are up, but the down percentages wise anyway ranges anywhere from 0.5%. Some of them are down over 22%. But that's not the point of this part of the conversation here. I really actually noticed how many of them there were. I didn't even show all of them here, but there is an extensive list of cryptocurrencies out there. As many of you are aware, there are many of them. And I want to bring up one in particular. And the reason I'm bringing up this one is because I do trust this individual. He's a pretty wise friend here and a member of the channel. We maintain quite frequent contact with one another. And he emailed me today and he says, "Hey, JM, spent about $1,000 plus fees, but now have 3,162 Ripple coins. Believe me, I do not feel this is a speculative, degenerate gamble, but an actual investment in something the big banks are planning on using. When I first looked at Ripple over 2 years ago, it was about 2 cents each. Now, about 15 times larger at around 30 cents. I plan to get about 30,000 Ripple coins over the next few months and sit on them, just like gold and silver. I am not selling any gold for this, but will be trading in about 15% of my silver. I know you detest cryptocurrency, but Ripple coin is more like a new gateway to make payments much easier and has a second generation Bitcoin type robustness and speed, like comparing an F4 Phantom to a new model F16. The hardcore Bitcoin and Ethereum guys hate Ripple because it has centralized control and support of the major banks. Anyway, I hope you at least look into it. We've left way too much money on the table past few years." So the name of this currency he's talking about obviously is Ripple. And there's another email he sent me after following this one, and we'll read that one as well. You know, I don't know what to think, because obviously I missed the boat with making some big, quick, and easy profits on Bitcoin, even though I was looking at it years ago. And this individual who's conversing with me here in this email has mentioned Ripple briefly recently, prior to these contacts here. And he did dabble and do well in Bitcoin in the past. So I do trust his assessment and opinion. And, well, we'll see what you guys think. Let's continue. They are laying out their master plan in broad daylight. Ripple XRP is large enough to handle the entire planet. 100 billion Ripple coins versus 21 million eventual Bitcoins. When fiat crashes, we both know something will rise from the ashes. It could easily be an international special drawing rights, SDR, cryptocurrency backed by gold, maybe 1 gram of gold per Ripple. He does bring up a good point there. We've talked about this in the past. If some government entities began backing cryptocurrencies, or somehow there was an exchange somewhere that could link these cryptos to gold, and I know some of them do exist now, and there are, I guess, cryptos out there like that, but it looks like this one has even banks backing it, which does raise red flags. I know, I don't trust them any more than you guys do. But let's see what he sent me here, this bottom clip from a guy named Willington Scully. Let's read here. Yes, XRP is part of Ripple's vision. Ripple has written extensively about XRP's role in the ecosystem as well as its strategies around XRP. You can read them here. There's a link there, XRP portal. To summarize what you'll find there, XRP is meant to complement Ripple's mission to make cross-border transfers more efficient. XRP can help by acting as a bridge currency. So I'm interested to hear some of your thoughts on Ripple. He did warn me that Ripple, because of its association with some of the banks and government backers, is despised by the Ethereum and Bitcoin crowd. And being that it's a crypto, it's despised by many in the precious metals or the gold crowd. People like, oh, that old cogger, Junius Malpe, that hates crypto. Well, it's again, like I've said before, my problem with crypto is, I don't know, call me stupid. I thought I was pretty smart. I can read and memorize a lot of facts. I've been able to handle myself in the modern world my entire life, and I've employed many different devices, and I'm able to execute many different types of functions and roles in my career fields and doing what I do. However, I just can't seem to grasp the simple concepts of crypto, how to use them, how to hold them and exchange them and move them. It's just, I don't have trust in it, and that's just me. I'm just an old bat, I guess, and I'm not even that old, really, which is weird. I don't know how people older than me are going to handle it, but there you go. We talked about Ripple. We looked at many of the different cryptos. There's so dang many of them. Man, there's only one gold, but there is a lot of crypto, let me tell you. Just a whole lot of crypto out there. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with gold. We haven't talked about it a whole lot lately. I know I've been gone. I apologize. Please let me, I need this time, sometimes this breathing room, this reprieve. And if you've been part of this channel for any length of time, you know that I step away during these months for longer periods of time. Anyways, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you're being patient. Thanks for putting up with another long video that's few and far between since, again, I am away. Thanks for joining the conversation, the discussion, being part of the channel. And if you missed the channel when we're not posting new stuff, there is over, 400 videos here in the archives, and I've done a lot of work to organize them into playlists. So if you can go in and find a playlist, you can find some of the old videos and topics and subjects that we like to discuss here. And if you've ever missed some of them, you can go ahead and catch up on them there. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and add others to this community. Thanks for being part of the Junius Malpe channel. I appreciate it very much. I look forward to sharing with you guys here this week a new coin, a new thick round of silver that is coming in the mail. I got a sweet little surprise to show you guys, and hopefully it's here this week sometime so you can take a look at it. It's coming to us from Feli Mint. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. But the Feli Mint up in Canada has a series of beautiful silver rounds, and one of them has a lot of meaning behind it. And I'm looking forward to sharing this new round that's got a limited mint population with you guys when it gets here. All right. Again, have a good day. Thanks for joining me. Good night.